Morning, Kate here, bringing you this week's Monday mission. And this one I'm calling Two Truths, okay? And it's this idea that two things can be true, okay? And what I'm trying to challenge here is some of the black and white thinking that a lot of us can get stuck in. This used to be a really big thing for me, thinking in these absolute terms, right? So if this is true, then this can't be true, right? And what that does is it really limits our awareness that we can have this full range of possibilities, right? It just makes everything so stark, so absolute, right? This black and white, all or nothing thinking. And it really keeps us stuck in our relationships to others and to ourselves. And it limits our personal growth because we're thinking in these terms. So I want to present some ideas, two things that can be true at the same time, and see how this feels for you. Okay. So the first one, you can love and respect someone and need to set a boundary with them. Okay. So a lot of times we'll think that if we need to set a boundary, that it means that the other person, we don't, we're showing that we don't love that person or we don't respect them or it's being mean to them, right? We're taking all of that on. When in fact, two things can be true, right? Because when you're setting a boundary, you're actually showing the other person, hey, I want to have a relationship with you, but in order for that to be healthy, it needs to look like this, or this is what I need to have in place as part of the boundary, right? Because the boundary is for you, it's what you're willing to tolerate. It's not, if you do this, then I don't have a relationship with you, right? It's communicating your expectations for what that relationship needs to look like for you, but it doesn't have to mean that you don't love and respect them, okay? Next one, you can want your kids to be happy, but tell them no sometimes. Right. And they may tell you that they're mad at you. They don't like that. You're not a good mom. Whatever. We have this idea that if our kids aren't happy 1000% of the time, then we're doing something wrong as parents. Right. So I want to challenge our thinking that two things can be true. I can be a great mom and my kids can be unhappy sometimes, right? Because being unhappy is part of the human experience. And that's what we need to teach them. If we teach them that A, they should be happy at all moments of their life, or B, that their happiness depends on other people and it doesn't come from within, then we are really setting them up to have some pretty faulty thinking when they're adults. And they're going to bring that into their relationships, right? So, two things can be true. You can be a great parent and say no to your kids that causes them some unhappiness. Okay, next one. You can love your partner, but think they're annoying sometimes. Right? So it is, again, human to be annoyed by some things that other people do, right? That annoyance, though, doesn't have to mean that you don't love the person or respect the person or still want to be in a relationship with them, right? Like two things can be true. So a lot of times we're just so black and white with our thinking that if we're having hiccups with someone and becoming really annoyed with them, that has to mean that there's something really wrong in the relationship. It's doomed. It's not going to work out. I can't be with this person, right? And it doesn't have to mean that, right? All of this is data. All of these thoughts that you have when you're annoyed with your partner, when your kids are unhappy, when you need to set a boundary, it's all just data that we need to think about. It doesn't have to mean these huge, widespread things that our minds typically go to. Here's another one. You can be a good person and find yourself gossiping with a friend, right? It's true. This has been something, that I've had to work on, is that I have this, ideal, what a perfect person is in my mind, right? Which again, doesn't exist. And you would think that would be someone that doesn't gossip. Okay. And obviously I'm not promoting gossiping here, right? It doesn't feel good. It feels kind of icky. It's, not a great thing to do, but we're human and we find ourselves doing that sometimes. And if we find ourselves gossiping, and then we immediately make that mean that we're not a good person, we're this horrible person, right? All we're going to have is shame over it, right? Instead of just looking at it, wow, I was really like saying something about someone that I like, or they don't deserve to have to things said behind their back, right? Using it as data, like maybe it means that that person, you're envious of something that that person has or is doing, right? It means something about you if you're engaging in that gossip with a friend. But it doesn't have to mean that you're a horrible person, right? It's just the messy parts of yourself, because we're all messy. We all have messy parts. And that messy part of you gossiped that day. It doesn't have to mean that you're not a good person, right? Or that you don't have a good heart. So another one, you can be a great mom, but take time for yourself. This is a big one with moms, right? The whole self-care thing. And I know we're told to take bubble baths and go to the spa, which that's, I mean, that's a form of self-care, really. But when it comes down to it, self-care can be setting boundaries. It can be, the other night I posted on my Instagram stories that my youngest had soccer practice. It was a practice, it wasn't a game. I wasn't feeling well. It's in a field that was really cold and windy. And I asked him if he minded if I sat in the car. And he didn't, because like I said, it was just a practice. It wasn't a big deal. And I sat in the car and I read a book, and it was amazing. And it was, that to me was self-care. I knew that I needed a moment, so that for the rest of the evening after soccer, I wasn't on edge and irritable and, that kind of thing. I needed to fill my own cup up a little bit. And I'm still a good mom. I'm not a horrible mom because I didn't sit there and watch him practice at soccer. Okay. Next one. Your kid can be a good kid, but lie to you about something or say something mean, right? So again, we make this mean these big, widespread, horrible things, right? So if our kid lies to us, which is completely developmentally appropriate, right? Depending on the age and what it was about. But we make that lie mean, oh my God, I'm a horrible mother. I don't have a good relationship. They don't trust me that they can say things to me and be honest with me. And how, what's wrong? What did I do? Or, oh my God, my kid's lying. He's going to lie in school. He's going to lie in his relationships. He's not going to be successful in life, right? It just spirals because of this black and white thinking, instead of just accepting that two things can be true. It can be true that your kid told you a lie and that he's still a really good kid, right? And you have a good relationship and you have a good connection. It may be some data that we need to look at something, but it doesn't have to mean these huge things, right? Okay, another one. You can eat a cookie and still be healthy. Yeah, you can. And I had to work on this one as well, right? This is a big one. It's the black and white thinking and all or nothing thinking that really got me into patterns of disordered eating all throughout my life, right? So it's a big thing for me to work on, because that was a belief I had, right? Was that you can't eat a cookie or have a treat or have some kind of junk food and still be healthy and maintain your weight and have your meet your goals that you have, right? And so through my own work, I was able to get to the point where I could realize that that's not the case, right? Like two things can be true. I can eat a piece of cake at a birthday party, but still be healthy and still maintain my goals and all of that. So again, it's just recognizing when you're in those patterns of black and white thinking and reminding yourself that two things can be true. Another one, this is good. You can have an opinion that is right for you, and someone else can have an opinion and it's right for them. Okay, I'm going to say this one again. You can have an opinion that's right for you and maybe your family. Someone else can have an opinion that's right for them, and that's okay, right? Two things can be true. Both of those things can be true. It does not have to mean that if that opinion is different than yours, that you're right and they're wrong. You're good and they're bad, right? There's a whole spectrum, because they came to their opinion based on their background, their map, right? Their messaging, their interpretation of the world, their perception of things, okay? Yeah, it could be clearly different than yours. That's okay, right? Two things can be true. Their opinion can be right for them, and your opinion can be right for you, and they can be different, and that can be just fine. All right, so what do we do about this? Again, with everything, it's awareness, okay? When you find yourself being agitated or irritated about something or beating yourself up for something, ask yourself, am I in that black and white thinking, right? What two things can be true here, okay? And just challenge it, right? So kind of be like Goldilocks, find the just right, right? Let's get away from the extremes, from the absolutes. So see how you can come to the middle, find the two things that can be true at the same time, right? This thing does not have to mean this thing. Ask yourself what meaning you're attaching to it. And then acceptance, right? Awareness, acceptance. Accept that two things can be true and move on from it. Learn from it, use it as data. But holding yourself to these black and white standards and other people to these black and white all or nothing standards is just going to keep you stuck and not growing in your relationships or in any area of your life. So that's your mission, should you choose to accept it. Be Goldilocks. Find the two truths. Meet in the middle, right? Recognize when you're having black or white thinking and challenge that and ask yourself what two things can be true. Okay. And I'm actually going to start something new in the emails. I'm going to put a journal prompt in the emails to kind of go along with the topic that we're doing. So this week's journal prompt is, what are two truths for me? Okay, what are two truths for me? And just start writing. Ask yourself that question and just start writing and see what comes out, right? There's no right answer. It's just a prompt, a question to kind of get you going and recognizing what's going on for you and your patterns. So that'll be our prompt for this week. The mission is to be Goldilocks, and the prompt is, what are two truths for me? Okay, as always, share with me what comes up for you with this one. Reach out to me, and I'll talk to you soon. Have a great day.